Hi, Lee here. So if you remember last video, I managed to complete the main outline of the body. I've glued the top on. So now this is where the cutting becomes critical. So I'm going to route the neck pocket and also the pickup positions as well. So I'm just doing some measuring up. Let's take a closer look. What I'm checking is how far the neck has to come in, the neck pocket, and then a rough guide to where the 25.5" scale length is for the bridge position. Obviously the neck has to be completely centered, even more so because obviously I've got a matching top, so you have a visible center line, and my neck has a visible center line. So it's critical I can get the neck in the middle and make sure that I get the correct scale length when I finally do the routing of the bridge pickup. So I'm pretty happy with this. I've already got an outline of where I need the neck pocket to go. The neck is about 20 centimeters deep, not including the fretboard. So I need to route down. I'm going to route down to about 18 millimeters. So it's about 20 millimeters thick, but I'm going to route down 18 millimeters just to give myself a little room for positioning the neck. But as you can see, everything looks good. It's all centered. I'm quite happy with this. There's no major glaring errors that I can see. All of my drawings and measurements are correct so far. So let's get the router out and very carefully start routing out the neck pocket. Excellent. So that's a real nice snug fit for the neck pocket. It's nicely centered. I'm really pleased with that. This has turned out nicely. So that was probably the main cut I had to do. So now I can measure up properly. Now this is firm, and I'll be able to put the 25.5" scale length bridge position in, as well as the pickups. So that's really good. I'm pleased with that. To make sure it stays there, I think I might drill through and make a mark where the screws are going to go on the plate. Obviously I need to drill a plate into the back, and if I do that now while the neck's in this position and I know it's correct, it means that when I screw it in later, the screw hole should take and pull it back into exactly the same position. So I might do that next and just put the bridge plate on, line up the screws and make some marks. Okay, so now I've put the neck screws in and I know the position the neck's definitely going to be. It means I can now measure my scale length. So 25.5" scale length from the nut, and I can start to put the proper measurements on now. So So that's the bridge lined up, the holes drilled for the bridge screws. What I'm going to do next is put the holes in for the strings and all the way through the body, because obviously I need to attach the ferrules behind, because I'm doing this string through the body design rather than the strings ending at the back of the bridge. So let's do that next. Excellent, that looks really good. I'm pleased with that. All the ferrules are perfectly straight. So all I need to do on the other side now is drill through, but only as far as these ferrules. The reason you saw me do what I did, obviously I do one hole all the way through, but then I line up the back ones so the ferrules are straight. If you just drill into the top straight away, what you'll find is unless you're using a very accurate pillar drill, because I was just using a hand drill, you'll find that these are miles apart and wonky. So all I do is I drill one all the way through, and then I line up all 6, and then I turn it back over and drill through, and hopefully the 2 holes will connect together somewhere in the middle, but it keeps this nice, clean and straight. So the next important cuts I have to do now are the pickups. So I need to route the pickup slots. So what I'll do is I'll get the bridge back and I'll start measuring up, and we'll cut the bridge pickup and also the slot for the neck pickup. So that's pretty much all the major cuts made. The only ones left are for the controls, but they should be a relatively simple screw through. But what I really need to start doing now is a lot of sanding. So I need to go around all of the edge to smooth it up, and then we're going to start to go to work on this top to see how shiny I can make it. This top from the factory has a lot of quite deep scores in it, so it's going to take a lot of sanding. All I've got, I don't have, well, I have several different sanders, but for the finer stuff I found just a sanding pad on a sponge on my drill is the best way to get the fine sanding before I start doing it by hand. But to get the final finish I'm going to have to do wet and dry probably, so I've got some very fine wet and dry sandpaper. But let's start that now. I'm not even sure I'm going to bother recording it, it's just going to be a lot of me sanding. So let's see what it looks like once the sanding's done. So I've done the majority of the body, sanded it down, so it's feeling quite good, nice and smooth. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to finish the base part of the body yet. Possibly maybe some oil or something like that, I don't know. But for the top, this is where I'm really getting down now. So I've got some wet and dry sandpaper that I've had soaking for a while, and I can see lots of micro scratches in the surface. So I'm just going over them with the wet and dry just to try and get rid of those, but it's quite a laborious process, but it seems to be working okay. This is the first time I've ever done anything quite so fine, so hopefully at the end of this it should look good. So I've gone over it with a 600 wet and dry, but I can still see lots of little teeny scratches in it, so I don't know if I'm just being a perfectionist or how smooth I can actually get this. And what I've done is I've got a sheet of 1200 paper, which I'm just soaking at the moment. So I'm going to give that a go to see if I can get rid of these last few sort of micro scratches on this surface. So let's try that and see where we go. Right, so I've smoothed this off as much as I can. The top's looking pretty good. I've smoothed the rest of the body. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do to finish the top yet. So I've just sort of masked it off and protected it, including around the edge. And what I'll do is I'll just oil the actual body. I'm going to use Danish oil for this. I think the guitar's just a little bit too white, and Danish oil's got a very slight sort of tan to it, I found last time I did it. So I'm going to Danish oil the body to give it a little bit of colour, just to get some contrast between the top and the body. So let's get on and do that now. main body's now complete. As you can see, it's nice and shiny. It's Danish oiled the back and the main bulk of the body. All I've done with the top is I decided I'm actually just going to wax it, so it's really nice and smooth. I've just put some clear wax on there and polished it up, and it's feeling and looking really good. I don't know if you can see that because of the bright light in here, but there's a nice pattern to it, there's a nice grain, really pleased with that. Also drilled the hole there, so now the body's pretty much complete, and it's ready to put the guitar together. So I'll end this video here. Next video we'll go through constructing the guitar, putting the neck on, filling it with the electronics, and a small test at the end. So I'll see you next video.
Up,